Like a Tom, they got the mic. In the shadows, they ignite. Horror tales and sci-fi vibes. Fantasy world with comic tribes. Monsters lurking in the night. Spaceships soaring out of sight. Dragons breathing fiery fright. Heroes battling for the light. It's the first, the last, the Nerdom show, where geeky legends always grow. Let's enjoy and let it flow. Diving deep and feel the glow.
Welcome to the FirstLastNerdom, the podcast where we dive deep into the world of pop culture, film, and all things nerdy. This week we're sinking our teeth into the heavily anticipated release Nosferatu. The remake of the classic horror film has been generating a lot of buzz, and today we're going to break down whether this chilling tale could rise up to the contender of best movie of the year. Will it live up to the legacy of F.W. Murrow's iconic 1922 film, or will we carve it out into its own mark on cinema? Grab your garlic and holy water, because it's time to find out if Nosferatu is the movie we've been waiting for, or just another ghost story lost in time. Let's get it on into it. Sorry.
All good, all good. Hey, how you doing, Tom? Back at it,
Hey.
last week. How you feeling, man? You threw an audible.
Yeah.
You called. You saw downfield what the defense looked like, and you said, "We got to do an audible." And I said, "Let's do it. What are we doing?"
Yeah, I was like, yeah, I saw where Nosferatu was coming at us, and Robert Edgers has always never turned me wrong. And he had a movie come out on Christmas Day. I was like, all right, well, we're gonna meet this head on. And I had another movie we were kind of queuing up, but you were like, yeah, okay, let's do this thing.
Oh yeah, absolutely. I will probably always defer, and it's so funny. I was going to say, and then I'll go into my little spiel. I will always say yes to a live movie in the theater. Because I know we both have our issues with the theater, that we like to go, but
Hmm.
every if you go to like one not great experience, it really kind of lowers the threshold, especially when you can just stay home and watch it on your own big screen. But anyway, that
Yeah,
aside,
yeah, like the last movie we watched, Late Night with the Devil, a couple of weeks ago. That was like a perfect movie to watch at
it was
home.
perfect. That was
Whereas this movie is like, oh my God, like while watching this movie, I was like, oh my God, this is perfect in the theater. I mean, this is,
it,
I
it,
mean, I couldn't imagine not seeing this, full screen, with all this awesomeness kind of coming at me. This movie,
it,
I love this movie.
I will absolutely add on to that what you were saying, and this is kind of this is a prologue here a little bit, but it is a
Hmm.
movie you need to see this in the theater. I'm not saying you can't watch it at home or wait, but
Hmm.
unless you have a really good sound system that you can feel in your chest and a thing. Now, the only thing I will say is I'm gonna have to go back and see it again in IMAX because
Hmm.
I didn't have as wide of a window to see it for yesterday and today. But anyway, I was gonna say too, it also worked out perfect too because I saw a movie on Christmas Day. Actually, I went to see that one. So it would be funny, if you had, if
Hmm.
I would have not, I would have
Hmm.
absolutely probably fell into this one and saw it if I was going to see anything. I knew we had
Hmm.
talked about it, but we kind of like were like, oh man. But you called the audible perfectly because we both talked offline about this a number of times. Looking forward to it. And
Hmm.
we also have some background with or some history with watching and reviewing Edgar's as one of the things, because I believe we've covered one or two. We've covered at least one of them. I think two
Which
maybe.
we covered the witch the Witcher,
Yeah,
or the witch, and the
which is great.
Norseman.
Yes,
We
that's
covered
awesome.
both of those, which we covered those in the same episode, which is crazy.
We need to go back and
We're
review
back in
them.
the day when we thought we should probably cover more than one movie, which that both of those deserved a show in and of itself. But
Right.
I think we also we kind of left the lighthouse as a back option, which I think we'll probably talk about that in the future. But
Hmm. Hmm. Yeah, well,
but yeah.
we definitely are. We have a very good system here where we run into or bump into directors that whether it's you or me, we just kind of have this natural path where we'll follow a director, and then we'll invariably. I love the fact that we can go see ones that we've already reviewed, and we will absolutely have to go back and remaster
Mhm,
those two. That we'll have to do
mhm.
those two, but uh, all that aside, let me get into the thing here, and then I can get us. I can do the 30-second plug-in, and then we can get into it here because I know you're excited to talk about
Oh
this,
yeah,
and I
absolutely.
am too. I am too. So
Absolutely.
let me find my switcher button. There we go. All right, here we are. So who are we? I'm ML. It's Tom over there who walked us in. Thank you, Tom, for that. A very good job. We are the
Hmm.
first, the last Nerdom. We're on the YouTube. That's primarily our home. We'd love it if you could go
Hmm.
check out our last couple good ones. We're very proud of the last several weeks. I think we have a very strong
Hmm.
finish to this year, especially with this episode being the very last one that we'll do for 2024. So hopefully, by the time you see this, if it's next week, we'll be in the future. Okay, that's a bad dumb dad joke. Anyway, all right. So tell us
Hey.
about the Reddit.
Yeah, yeah. On the Reddit, I try to promote our stuff wherever we can. Last week I was kind of remiss on that, but yeah, we're like always on there, trying to promote our stuff. We do our stuff on Reddit. We also do it on X. We are there on FirstLastNerdom on both Reddit and on X. And yeah, if you're interested in what we're doing on YouTube, yeah, our latest stuff, I'll promote us on that as well. And then if you're friends with us on Facebook, I also like promote us on there.
Oh yeah, yeah, absolutely.
But yeah, but yeah, Mike, you also have a couple of stuff you like to promote as well.
Absolutely. Yeah, I was gonna say if you wanted to find me or Tom on X or Twitter, whatever your favorite designation is, whatever the cool kids are doing. Would love to hear from you. Tell us what your thoughts are. Also, the comment section of the YouTube video as well is very good, or Reddit if you find Tom or me on X or whatever. The point is, we would love to hear from you, and we would love to have a
Mhm.
conversation. I didn't even say mine. ApeIt_Ink is my handle. Also, it's just the same as my website, ApeIt.Ink. This is some of the heavier form stuff here. Now, I have Tom and I might have a little breakout conversation here, and maybe a little argument, maybe not really, but about the movie of the year. So, I thought it was one movie, and I think Tom is pretty close to declaring his favorite of 2024. And then, of course, this will
I
be our
think
end of
so.
this will be our end of year show. So we might throw in some highlights of the year and do that at the very very end.
Mhm.
But for all that, we do appreciate you. And again, the last of nerdom. You know what? I need to just change it from the to remove the thes and do what you did on anyway. Getting into this thing here before we get too crazy here, Nosferatu. It is the reason why we are here talking. And holy cow, Tom, you picked one.
Yeah, it's
You picked a great one, and it was a pleasure watching this. Especially because I'm a little bit newer to horror, and I definitely more seasoned now down the road. But I've got so much to say as well. So, but I'll let you start off the thing of how you wanna take us out of the parking lot and get on the highway.
It's sort of like the master class of horror. It's like you know, you don't want to just jump into this movie because it's like, it's like taking the the advanced class in horror because it just goes straight to the jugular. Um,
Yeah, they do.
it's it's a it's a horror movie that um you know, when you think of like extreme horror movies, you think of like gore and like all across the, just the most horrific things. But with this movie, it like focuses in on what horror is, and it takes its time and it's very slow. So it's kind of a slow paced movie, but the horror is like built in, and it's very much built into the emotions of the characters.
Yeah.
And so it's one of those things that just kind of creeps onto you like slowly and thoroughly, and like as long as you're invested into these characters, this horror is in you. If you're like totally against what these characters are feeling, I don't think you'll like feel what the movie's projecting to you.
Mm,
But as long as you're invested into these characters and
mm.
feel what they're feeling, you're in there all the way,
Yeah, I
like
was gonna
completely.
say to kind of drill into what you were talking about a little bit there. I love the exploration of tension and the
Hmm.
horror was it kind of all comes as one package. The superb storytelling. I'm trying to keep it high levels here as we kind of break the thing open and start chunking it out here. But
Hmm.
the story, if you choose to go like you were saying with the character's journey and really putting yourself there, and it's not hard. They pull you in pretty quick. They don't waste any time, and that's the other thing too.
No.
They although it is a little bit I hesitate to call it a period piece, but it's obviously in olden times. It really doesn't matter like what the
Yeah,
year
it's
is, you
it's
know.
it's it's like what you would expect from, if you wanted a period piece horror movie to just really enrich and fill the time period.
Mm,
This movie does it, and
yeah.
it does it well, and it doesn't skimp on the quality. And it's like, oh my god,
Well,
this.
it reminded me a lot of if you recall Under the Silver Lake.
Uh-huh.
You kind of mentioned this in your review of it that you said something to the effect of you kind of get a sense that it's modern day ish. You know, it doesn't
Mhm.
do it doesn't that's not really it's not material to what's going on. It really isn't.
Mhm.
The same thing is true for this, which is also indicative of a really good story that you're into or that welcomes you in. Everything fits like a glove. From
Mhm.
William Dafoe and his, you know, character and what I was gonna say, I pulled them. I did something a little different.
Mhm.
I pulled out the actors and actresses.
Yeah.
Nicholas Hoult
Mhm. Yeah,
is
Thomas is
wow,
Nicholas Hoult. Yeah.
wow, and then I'll just Bill Skarsgård. And shame on me if I butchered your name, but anyway, Skarsgård here. He is. I mean,
Yeah,
every one of these
he's like
characters.
a whole character in and of itself.
Oh
Yeah.
my God, is unrecognizable, and that's all practical effects too. I might add.
Hmm.
But you also, but he, everybody showed up and teed off with their full game. I did not catch anybody, even the
Yeah.
kids. I'll say that.
Yeah, Robert Eggers, I will say this. As a historian major when I was in college, Robert Eggers knows how to invest his movies in the enrichedness of what he's talking about. Everything feels authentic. everything feels like real. This movie feels real. If you watch, if you watch The Witch or you watch The Norseman, it all feels very much real. This movie has this enrichment of being very much real. Um, yeah, I absolutely fell in love with this
I'll
world,
say that.
and
Yeah.
I was right there from the very beginning, and I got deeper and deeper into it, like with the characters and with what he was talking about.
Absolutely. Yeah, I really enjoyed all these characters. Everyone showed up and did. There's so many good actors in this and actresses too. Whether
Hmm.
it's I don't I first whether it's the main actress here. I'm trying to find her. Not Emma.
Yeah, Depp's Lily Rose Depp,
That's right. Yeah, that's
Johnny
she's
Depp's daughter. I mean,
God. She
you're
looks so
used to
much.
her being into these kind of goofy movies with Kevin Smith, but yeah, it's like she
Okay,
brung the game to
okay.
this movie.
I
Yeah, the
I
someone kind of compared this and said that it was inspired by Possession,
okay.
which we're both familiar with. And this movie does really pair very well with that movie.
It eerily does. The way that both. Oh well, no, this won't be well. I don't know if how to code this a spoiler or not. I'll just say this: they are very similar in how certain things landed. I'll just put that way, and I'll leave it more open ended. But that's certainly
and
not giving anything away.
and this is a remake of F.W. Moreau's Nosferatu.
Right.
And then in the 1970s, 1979, uh, Klaus Kinski, he also did a remake of Nosferatu then. And the Minna, which was the co-star of that movie, was Isabella Gianti, which she also starred in Possession, which also kind of parallels with this movie. And this actress, Lily Rose Depp, I, she's sort of like the reincarnation of Isabella Gianti. She's just amazing
I agree.
in this movie, and yeah,
I
I never actually seen
oh.
I'd never seen the 1979 version of Nosferatu, which hopefully maybe we'll cover this in our future video. But yeah, I saw the original 1922 version of Nosferatu. Um, and yeah, I saw that in college, and I saw it in a little class that we had, where they projected it and everything, and I was like, oh wow, I'm getting to see Nosferatu in the with a screening and everything. And then, but yeah, seeing it now today, um unfortunately, the audience I saw it with, I think I only saw it with one other dude. But yeah, this was like awesome seeing it on the big screen. This was like I mean, he sort of took like what German expressionism did with that film, and like just did what he could do on the screen with this movie, and it's just amazing.
No, I agree. He did a fantastic job. I was gonna say, I recognize her from Lily Rose from
Hmm.
The King. That is one of my really favorite. I don't know. I don't think it's like widely acclaimed or whatever, but anyway, The King with
Hmm.
Timothy Chalamet. That came. I saw that. I started to become a Timothy fan, a
Hmm.
Tim C fan from watching that
Yeah.
movie, And then I think the next one I saw was Dune Part One, to kind of wrap all the, it's a very small
Hmm.
world we live in with good actors and actresses and whatnot tend to orbit each other. And Eggers is no doubt like he hit his stride for sure with this with the casting. I don't know what the budget was, but it is what a movie should be. Like,
Yeah, it's all shows on the screen. I mean, it's
yeah,
like, oh my God, you
it's a
you are
movie.
in that world as you watch this. There's not a
Yeah,
single point in the movie where I was like, okay, I'm out of the world. It's like everything was in the world, and I felt like I was there,
yeah.
and it was awesome. Yeah, there's a lot of dream sequence type moments where you're like in and out of like this dream world, but he had you spellbind for the whole movie.
Yeah.
There's like not like a single moment where you're like, okay, I'm out.
No, not at all.
It just felt like, okay, I'm here with you. Yeah, and I think you mentioned uh um Willem Dafoe. I mean, he was awesome in this movie.
Yeah, he was everything. The world building. I'm glad you mentioned that too. I need to. I will go back and watch. I've never seen. This is my first encounter with this property, Nosferatu. So I
Hmm.
will absolutely love to go back, not only to watch this again,
Yeah,
but to watch
I
the
think
original
we
and then
should probably do the 1922 movie and the
ooh,
1979 movie
I agree.
together.
Yeah, yeah. I think that would be a very good idea. I'm trying to find the scene
Mhm.
here where you saw the shot of the town and you saw it started moving and then you're moving with the shadow of his hand over
Yeah,
I mean it really
there's like
that's
there's a
amazing.
key movie in the 1922 version of the movie where Nosferatu he kind of does his hand, and you see the shadow of his hand go over the heart of the girl,
Oh,
and that's like the key scene in German expressionism. If you see anything, that's the key scene where you see, and that scene kind of replays over and over in with this movie, and that's and it kind of builds upon that.
right.
That's the wonderful thing about this movie is that it just doesn't kind of ape what the other movie does. It kind of takes what the other movie does and kind of expounds upon it and adds to it, and that's what is so wonderful about this movie.
Yeah, I was gonna play this and just play it here a little bit, but while we were talking. Yeah,
Yeah.
they set this story. I love that its pacing was fine. It was good. I didn't hit any snags like I hit in some other ones
Mhm.
like where there's a lot more rough edges. There were no rough edges on this. Like where like Krampus. Like we covered that last week. It's a fun,
Yeah.
silly kind of thing. Doesn't take itself too seriously. Pretty good setup. There's a couple spots that are a little rough, but again, there is none. It's just smooth. You're just gliding. And early on, there's jump scares. Or they're sprinkled they're very well placed. I will say. You got me
Mhm.
the first time. You didn't get me the second time, but that was very early on in the thing. It wasn't like a thing. It was just like, whoa, like um, when they do that, that's when it feels real. That's when it feels tangible. It almost feels like you're getting grabbed at any point in time when you go from dream sequence or whatever to this. Obviously these people are dealing with something different, and I think the general time is like 1830s or something. It really doesn't matter. But I really appreciated how somehow they were able to pull off following the main Nicholas's character all the way Tom all the way from right off the bat, boom, you're following him. You go to Dracula's castle, essentially in Transylvania. They even had that. Oh my god, they even had that detail too in some of the. It was just perfect. It was perfectly done. And then you accept that Skarsgård is like this. The dialogue. You would think that the dialogue and the way that it's delivered would get annoying. It doesn't.
No.
It's slow, and the pacing is just off enough for you to be pulled in. When he speaks, the room kind of gravitates
Yeah,
toward
I,
that.
I
To
don't
that.
know. I don't know what theater you were in, but the theater I was in, they had cranked the volume up
Oh wow.
so loud
Yeah.
that it kind of like vibrated the whole room. And it was just me and some other dude that was there. And yeah, it was awesome. It was like when the big wondrous like moments happened, it was like the room was vibrating
That's so funny.
with sound. It was pretty awesome.
Yeah, when I went, the sound was fine, but I would say the first. Let's say that the theater that I was in wasn't like the super big one. Let's say it has 20 rows. The first top
Mhm.
5 rows were all full.
Mhm.
Like, I
Oh,
mean,
really? Yeah,
yeah,
it's just
it
just
was
the
a
me
lot of
and some
people.
other dude that
Yeah,
well,
yeah,
that was there. But yeah, I want a lot of people to be able to come see this movie.
yeah.
So yeah, I hope my my experience was rare. That was just me, but I did also go at the first screening on a Monday, so it was like 9:50
Yeah,
a.m. on a Monday. So yeah, maybe a lot of people were out in the theater to
yeah.
go see a
I saw mine in the
movie at
theater.
that time.
I was so mad too because I usually like wait 15 minutes before I even walk in the theater. I even
Mhm.
putzed around and I ordered ahead for a couple of things, and so all I had to do was walk in and whatever. And I caught some of the previews anyway, but the only downer was the previews and the too many commercials. But aside from that, it
Yeah,
was
yeah,
still
that was yeah, the whole experience of
which
just going to the movie theater and
it
watching all the commercials
it
was
really
a
drains it.
bit of a pain, but yeah, getting through that and actually seeing this movie is like it kind of it going to a modern theater to see a movie, this movie makes up for that
Mhm.
completely. It washes away all of the bad taste that you might have. This is like a modern movie that kind of harkens back to older movies. It doesn't pretend to be something that it's not. It doesn't like um, you know crowbar in a certain character that might be particularly be something that the modern audience need to have
Right.
for this movie. It's what it needs to be for the story that it's telling, and it was amazing to just watch a movie be told by a master craftsman
Yeah.
that wanted to tell a story about certain characters and with a strong female character
Oh yeah.
to tell her story
Done
and
perfectly.
to be the hero of the story, to tell it in her own way without any compromise to being the what you think what the modern hero of female story should be. It is telling the story true to the characters, and it's just amazing to see.
I agree. Yeah, I
Mm.
was gonna say, Edgar's Nosferatu is it's like a vampire's kiss. It's haunting, it's hypnotic, and it's just dangerous enough to leave a mark. And
Yeah, yeah,
but
you're kind of sick of at the moment. You're kind of sick of zombie movies,
right,
and what do you need to come after zombie movies? You need vampire movies.
right. Well,
And this movie is not the romantic vampire story that Bram Stoker's Dracula
no,
that Francis Ford Coppola did.
right. It
This is its own sort of
yes,
kind of tell on it, and it's really dark, very subdued, but it tells a wonderful story.
I agree. It's not a remake; it's a resurrection, and it is a dark gift worth unwrapping for sure. Like if you kind of touching on it, The Witch and Lighthouse. Well, wait, haven't seen Lighthouse yet, but maybe you
Mhm.
have, but I have. But it's it has its own. You're right. It carves its own path. It stands on its own merits. All of the actors and actresses showed up. Excuse me, showed up every day. You can tell, and
Yeah.
I noticed that too. She did such a great friggin' job on this
Mhm.
film, and at first, it's so funny. She has the classic kind of her story is kind of compressed a little bit, even for the timeline that we get. It's very compressed, but what they get away with it for sure. Telling her story and you kind of like being they almost write her off, uh, and
Mhm.
I love how they did that. It's almost kind of like she gets in a kind of certain state, and you just kind of like, okay, well, whatever, like her. I guess her part of the movie is just to like, scream. No, not at
Mhm.
all, not at all. They use that masterfully, and you gain so much sympathy for her and where she's at in the thing. And by the
Mhm.
time it builds up to how it does, you don't know kind of how to how to feel. You're just as kind of like lost as um, William Defoe's character, the doctor, the eccentric retired doctor,
Mhm.
who
Yeah, he's sort of
is
like
the
the
expert
Van
in the
Helsing
occult.
character, but yeah, it's
Right.
like he he I love his character because it's like what do you do as that character in that story, except being the all-knowing guy?
Right.
What is the alternative? And this movie kind of explores that alternative. Is like, okay, well, if the old guy that doesn't know everything kind of follows along that story, then this is what his kind of his story is going to be.
Right.
And William Defoe does it perfectly. I love his character in this, and yeah, it's awesome.
No, he does a great job. I was just going to say there too. We touched on anyway. I can't remember, but it was just how like one scene leads to how it builds into the climax works. I was going to say, um, period
Yeah,
piece type.
is it a Christmas movie?
No,
I think
it
it
is
is.
not. Yeah, I would say no, but I get where you're going. But yeah, like
Yeah, yeah.
yeah, and Christmas is just like a very it's just that kind of time of year is what they don't go into any details whatsoever. They don't need to, and I love that they do that. I love that they don't.
Mhm.
The other thing that I was gonna say, if big Hollywood or big studio kind of had their fingerprints all over it, and it was trying to like make a new IP or a new franchise, let's just say that they put that kind of money behind it, they would have screwed it up because they would have tried to add to it, like kind of like the whole point. The natural question is, and we're getting kind of into spoilery territory. I won't say too much, but I will say this point forward, it might go into a little bit, well, not hard details, but there is a scene there where they they track down, and it's so funny how they integrate the different kind of characters in their little world there. From Tom's boss being kind of like some kind of a link, and they
Kind of
happen
like the
upon
Redfield of the
yeah
the characters. Yeah.
they find the book,
Mhm.
and kind of the next natural question is XYZ is shown in the book, and it's kind of like, but for what purpose? And I love that they don't give you that answer. Aside from it's just
Yeah.
its own phenomenon, you know what I mean? Because it's never its
Mhm.
own phenomenon, it's never its own thing. And this thing, like, what precipitated this is the natural thing of like after you get done watching it, you go back and you start thinking about it, and you're like, wait a second. And I love that. I love that they did very good world building when you have natural curiosity toward other aspects of the film
Mhm.
that you might want to, like, on a rewatch. Those questions probably won't be answered, but it'll introduce another level of detail there to, like, where you'll pull it in, and you'll have another appreciation, or you'll catch something you did. I know there's stuff that I missed for sure, but
what
I did
what I
notice.
love about this movie is that most horror movies is the male characters kind of setting up the rules of the movie and kind of taking you through okay, if X is Y, then you have to do X. You kind of have to know how things are going to be played out. Whereas this movie is very much emotional. It's very much how the characters kind of interact with each other. It's how the female character knows how what's going to happen. It depends on her and how it plays out. In the Van Helsing character, which is the William Dafoe character, kind of realizes that he's not the major focus of this. He kind of has to step back. He knows all the knowledge,
Right.
but he's not the impetus of what's going on. He has to step back and, like, okay, well, this is going to have to play out how it plays out, and it plays out how it needs to, and there's no like woke scenario. All plays out how it needs to play out.
Right.
Everything kind of fits the way it needs to fit in with the story, and I just love the whole thing. And that's why when the credits started rolling, I was like, okay, this isn't the best horror movie I've seen. This is the best movie I've seen this year.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Yeah. I've seen a lot of most of them we've covered or we've talked about. Some we haven't yet. But when we get to that point in the show,
Hmm.
but yeah, the thing that I loved about this, I think the most, is it even though it is vampire, it still does it on its own terms and its own ways, in its own
There's no
mythology.
romanticism of vampires. It's
Right.
like
There's
it's taking the vampire myth and making it dark and
right,
evil.
right. It
Mhm.
absolutely, it's that, but it's also how, the tropes that go with a vampire. They touch on
Mhm.
those, but again, they don't spend too much time on that because it's not important to
Mhm.
the plot, or
Yeah, we all
it
know what vampires are,
right. Well,
and they have a wonderful time of,
right,
we grew up, a lot of the younger people have grown up with the Twilight vampires, where it's romanticized,
right,
where they're cute
ridiculous,
and lovable. You have even, a little bit earlier, you have Angel, and you have Buffy the Vampire Slayer. You have the more nicer vampires. This is a very evil and dark vampire. This is like the darkest vampire that you could ever imagine. And this is uh this is what you're facing against. You're this overwhelming darkness. How do you face this overwhelming darkness
it
of a vampire?
it was kind of like whenever he was on screen, Nosferatu, or Count Orlok. I think I said
Hmm.
Orlok. Hopefully, I didn't screw that up. Good grief. Anyway,
Count Orlok, yep. Hmm.
Count Orlok. Thank you. Count
Uh,
Orlok. Like when he's on the screen, it's almost like there's a negative zone that automatically comes through, and you get that with how um, Nicholas Holt's character reacts to him. So
mhm.
like where it's kind of like it goes into that very natural state of like, I don't really know. I'm tired. I just want to go do. Okay, fine, my lord. I'll call you my lord,
Yeah,
whatever. You
my
know,
lord.
to like
I
going
hope.
from straight from there to like he is in sheer hair uh, by the time that he gets to certain points of the film, and it's palatable. Like you believe that he is that deathly scared of him, and there's some
Mhm.
interaction there too, which is very
Yeah, and he
realistic
has
as
that
well.
presence.
Yeah,
Bill
yeah,
Skarsgård has that
sweet.
presence about him. Yeah, it's like overwhelming darkness to it. Yeah, and I kind of like as he fed on different people, he kind of yeah, with you kind of tried to compare it to other vampire movies, like especially with Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula, which is very much a kind of romantic movie. This is sort of like the anti-romantic movie. This is like very dark, and there's no romanticism to this movie.
There's
This
passion.
is
There's passion.
uh,
There's not. It's not. It is kind of romanticized a little bit, but it is definitely passion. I mean,
yeah, yeah,
intensity is
and
another way of
yeah,
saying passion.
I loved how like the nighttime is sort of like black and white. It's very much kind of the ode to German expressionism with the all the cityscape with the wide arcs and everything and the shadows, and like you were talking about, like the shadow hand
Right.
uh crawling across the the landscape, which is very reminiscent of the original Nosferatu. This movie doesn't dance around being very dramatic, and it kind of like dives into it. There is sort of comedic moments, but there's times where like a half hour goes by and it's just very dreary, very dark,
Right.
very slow, and I just ate it up. I don't know how the modern audience will love it, but I just love this movie.
I think indications are that I believe that they spent about 60 to 70 million. And I believe that is a pretty sizable. That's a very large investment for a horror film period piece, or a period
Yeah.
horror film. But I did catch a couple notes that said that it was modest opening, but it's got strong potential for long term cult status, which I think is a very good roll on to this film. This is an
Yeah, and
instant. Um, this I kind of I heard some, like, after I saw it, I did watch a couple folks what their general take was, and which it was fine, but like I was very impressed, and I got
yeah,
my money's worth.
yeah, it's one of those movies where I watched it. It's like I love this movie. It's my favorite movie of the year, and I don't care what anybody else thinks.
Yep,
Which
same.
it sort of like takes horror and brings it up to the level that I think horror should be at. It does things with horror that it should do, despite obviously budget constraints. Most of the times you got to do like horror at a lower budget. This movie like threw the budget at the wall and did what it did because of art, and because of art, this is amazing movie that I just absolutely love, and it does what I want it to, and it does it absolutely well without any I can't think of anything. One of the things with a movie that um one of your favorite movies, you can't really criticize it, so you just kind of end up saying I love this movie, I love this movie, and that's sort of like what I'm doing with this movie at this moment. There's not a whole lot of criticism I can make to this movie because I love it so much.
No, I get it. I totally get it. I felt the same way about when I saw Civil War in April, I instant love. Like, don't care. That's how. And then a lot of people kind of, they kind of they they
Kind of walk
maybe
back
they
and forth. Yeah.
well, they broke an egg and they didn't make an omelet. They just left it to be a broken egg. So it is what it
Yeah,
is.
and
But that's
that's
fine.
what's amazing about this year is that you could get the movie that you wanted this year, and I could get the movie that I wanted this year,
Yeah,
and
that's
we could
awesome.
both be
That's even
happy
better. Yeah.
and appreciate what you got and what I got, and just be happy with the state of the world, because it's amazing um, that we live in a time where civil war could be made, and also that Nosferatu can be made. This
Absolutely.
movie should not have been made. Uh, all these studios should have said no to this movie. They should have said no to Civil War. They should have said no to all of this. But this movie got made. Civil War got made, and it's what it is.
Well,
And we can both appreciate it and enjoy and celebrate both those movies.
you couldn't ask for two better, artistic voices and visions with Alex Garland on
Yeah.
one hand, and you have Eggers on the other hand. And I will say
Yeah,
this:
there's like
it
a vision to detail, the detail that was made towards Civil War and the detail that was made to this movie. Um, despite what you could say, what criticism you can make to both of the movies, they feel very authentic. There's not
yeah,
a time in either movie where you could say that it doesn't it rings hollow.
right.
Both movies ring very true for both the time periods that they're being told through.
Yeah, for me, it was visually stunning. It had atmospheric um, retelling of that story with just enough to what came before it. Um, maybe
Yeah,
some
the
people might. I could see where some people, if they said maybe it's a little slow for the pacing, I did not get that at all. And to be honest with you, I mean, if there
I'll
was a movie
slap
to redo,
every one of them in the face that said that's slow.
yeah,
It is not slow.
I
It's
could
not a
see.
slow movie.
No, I agree, but I could see like where somebody would just
Mhm.
equate period piece or old to slow. That kind of that
Go
mistake gets made
watch
a
your
lot,
Deadpool movie
right?
and have fun. Which
Go watch
I
some
enjoyed
Marvel,
the last Deadpool movie, but whatever. But
right?
yeah,
Right.
if that's
Right.
that's your speed, then yeah, go ahead
Yeah.
and watch it back.
No, I thought it had good innovation for the fact that it would just the fact that it would do mostly practical effects. They had some CGI, but I believe the vast majority of it was practical effects, which I'm always a fan. I'm not the only one. Not like I'm the Lord and Savior of all the films I'll ever make, because I'm not. I'm just a nobody. But I think you know like Count Orlok is. It's haunting, and occasionally he will take your life. He will.
Yeah, this movie, yeah, as far as special effects and CGI and all that, this movie I just forgot all about that, and yeah, I didn't pay attention to that. Maybe in the future viewings, I might pay attention to that, but yeah, it's like the whole world just made sense to me, and yeah, it's one of those things that you can maybe go back and kind of start poking holes into, but the
There's
narrative
not
is
much to poke
so well
into.
done, and the acting is so well done. I mean, again, I'll just go back. The acting all from top down is premier acting. Tell me who acted wrongly in this movie,
No, you
and
can't.
I'll argue with you.
Yeah. Sorry, I was just looking up this thing. Sorry. Um. Yeah. The No, I don't think. Like I said, I think we already covered the actors. Like they did.
Mhm.
I would be hard pressed to find a really bad actor in this. That's just not. It's just not. That's just not true. You may not like the
Yep.
story or the pacing or something, but you cannot say with a serious face that nobody that you cannot say that anybody phoned it in or didn't show up and give their all. Everyone did. And if
Absolutely.
they didn't, you would know that because this movie could have very easily wobbled out of control. Like
Mhm.
it's got
Yeah.
everything against it. It's not the
Mhm.
normal vampire story. That's what a studio would say. Nobody knows what the hell Nosferatu is. They know Bram Stoker's Dracula or Count Chocula. That's not true.
Mhm.
It's also not true that just because it's a remake. No, it's a resurrection of Nosferatu in its own modern, faithful vision, according to Eggers, and it works. It's kind of like if you
Yeah.
made this into a play,
I
this
also
as a
love
play.
that it was a movie that he made it in a vision of what he thought it should be, as opposed to what the modern studio thinks you have to tick off the certain boxes of what you need a movie to be. This is what the movie needed to be, as far as what it needed to be, as far as being true to itself. And this is a movie that was very much true to itself, that I loved, that was made no compromises. And that's what I love about this movie, is that I love movies that make no compromises. And no matter what that means, um the artistic nature of the movie, as long as it's true to itself, I love it. And this is what this movie was, and that's why I love this movie.
Indeed. I was going to say some factoids here. Is we're kind of. I think we're coming up to the probably closer to the end, but I was going to throw
Yeah, I
out
think
these
so.
fun facts. William Dafoe previously starred in Shadow of the Vampire in 2000, a
Yep.
fictionalized account of the original Nosferatu. So yet again another permutation therein.
Hmm.
Um, he played Max Schreck as the literal vampire. And then
Hmm.
Eggers also, I have in my other notes here, apparently this was Eggers' dream project. So credit where due, he finally did it. But he's been wanting to do this for years, calling it his dream project. And then early development even included Anya Taylor Joy in the lead role, but scheduling conflicts prevented her from involvement, and it worked out.
Yeah,
Lily
yeah,
Rose was
absolutely.
uh, maybe I don't even want to think about who could have done this. I'm sure there are a number,
Yeah.
but then if you drop her out and then you put somebody else in, then the chemistry between the other actors might be off,
Hmm.
and they might not get dialed in
Hmm.
and do their best. Everybody did their best. If from the from the it just everybody showed up, and I agree.
Yeah,
I'm,
yeah,
I'm
and I
starting to
I
repeat
think
myself.
I did, when I was trying to talk you into watching this movie. I said that that Eggers was influenced by Possession. Now that was written on
Boom,
a
you got me.
Facebook post, so I don't know how true that is.
Okay,
But that movie is very influential to us. We both
absolutely.
love the movie Possession.
That's probably one of my
And
all-time favorite
Isabella
horror
Johnny
movies. Yeah.
starred in that, and she also starred in the original remake of Nosferatu in 1979.
Oh, okay.
And again, she is Lily Rose Depp. Sort of, she sort of like embodies what Isabella Johnny has done in the past. She's sort of like taking what she has done in the past, is kind of bringing it into the future. And yeah, I just am in awe of what she can do.
Indeed, indeed. Yeah, I was gonna say, do you have any last minute or last thoughts for before we close it up, and then maybe go on to our favorites of the year since we teased it? Get into it.
No, I was we went to the my local comic book shop, and just to talk about being nerd out and talk about this movie. It was like, I think this is my favorite movie of the year.
Right on.
And I do the thumbnails for our channel, so that's why I put in it as the best movie of the year.
Indeed. Indeed.
Question mark, just to maybe grab some viewers, but also I think this movie is a contender, and I think you feel that Civil War, which is a mighty contender as well. Uh, maybe we'll see what if both of our movies end up being in the Academy Award nominations.
Indeed.
That'll be kind of interesting. But yeah, I like that this movie is not like the best horror movie. It's maybe the best movie of the year.
Yeah. Yeah, we are not quite that close to the vine as far as movies and cinema goes, although it might be fun one of these years if one of our favorite films was, very widely acclaimed.
Mhm,
That might be a fun watch, a watch get together, meet up. But in the
mhm,
meantime, I easily see why you like this movie as movie of the year. I can see in your from your point of view, I can absolutely see where that it right in the nick of time, and you got to see it
yeah,
in the
yeah,
theater.
it's like, yeah, that's what I was thinking. It's like right within the 48 hours of maybe looking over to the next year.
Yeah, I liked I was gonna say you know what I should do? I should bring up our channel and then just bring up our videos and then
Hmm.
like yeah, so let's just do it like this. Uh, I'm overcomplicating it here, I guess. So we watched a lot of good movies this
Hmm.
last year, including kind of like ones that not necessarily top tier, but are very good for what they are, like a Trick or Treat and Krampus, ones that are kind of like that, like they kind of just slide in on Thanksgiving too, like
Yeah,
just
I think we focus best on like maybe not the most popular movies, but those little movies that are within the genre nerdom, that are beloved,
right.
that maybe not are loved like overall, that we can bring a little bit of attention to, that people can celebrate with us, because we both love it, and we love it with our fans.
Yeah, I was gonna say Furiosa comes to mind. Like I remember seeing that, and that one felt like
Hmm.
that one was just awesome. Just go. That was just a great
Hmm.
movie to go see in the theater.
Hmm.
I really enjoyed that
Absolutely.
scene. We did a lot of horror this year, which is awesome. We'll probably be doing
Yeah.
more of it in the future too.
Hmm.
But I was gonna say Pearl 2 as well. That wrapped up. That was very fun. Um, it was fun
Yep.
to. We
Yeah,
also
and I think this coming year, I think I'm focusing more on physical media, and I think you're focusing more on A24, which I think we're both kind of converging on.
Yeah, I
Uh,
yeah, I am absolutely in love with. Recently turned on YouTube TV for a while until I get mad paying the bill, and then I'll turn it off. But for now, I have my TCM, and I love that. I also have, I guess, FX does the retro movie channel too. I got the A24, which you shared with me, and I dug in on a little bit later on. But yeah, I'm really looking forward to maybe learning more, a little bit more about cinema, about the technical thing behind. I've already kind of started to get on that path with different things I've shared
mhm,
with like the one really fun. I can't think of the name of it, but Disney did it. It was very unusual for Disney to spend. I think they spent $80 million on the one I made you watch it. It was the it's right. It should be like right here, but it was a really it was kind of a surprise to me, and I had just missed it. That's what it is. The creator. Uh, that's what uh,
mhm.
that's what I was really enamored with. Anyway, the head guy that did that one, the way he filmed it was anyway. It's just nerd cool stuff, and I'm very fascinated
Yeah.
about that and to like learn more about the just movies in general. I love it. I love the fact. We also had pretty good
Oh,
fun with
and yeah, and just to talk out about Black Christmas, we talked about. Unfortunately, Olivia Hussey passed away. She was one of the stars of that movie. She also starred in Romeo and Juliet. Unfortunately, she passed away this year, a few days ago.
That's true. Yeah, that's very true. Yeah.
But yeah,
Send
shout out to her and watch our
condolences
Black
to her family.
Christmas video where we kind of celebrate her performance in that.
Yeah, I'll throw that one down in the show notes on the link there. Yeah, that was
Which
that was fun.
has her image in our
Yeah,
thumbnail there.
absolutely. Yeah, we had a pretty good year for movies, I
Hmm.
would say.
I think
Better.
so. Yeah, we kind of covered kind of the gambit. I kind of focused more on fantasy for us. Kind of threw more fantasy in there. You always bring the sci-fi, and I'm always good for the horror. But yeah, it's a good mix that we bring to the table, which I think this coming year, I think we'll bring more of that. I think one of the things I kind of want to focus on is physical media, which
Yes.
I think I'll bring more and more to the table, and I think you'll bring more to the table. The sort of the indie kind of spectrum of things with A24.
I think so, and noir as well when it fits. Although noir is best approached, I think, kind of out of the blue. Um, Sometimes, just like sci-fi or horror, the ones that kind of stand on their own and they stand that test of time. Really looking forward to watching a whole nother year's worth of films with you, Tom. I'm definitely looking forward to
Hmm.
it. I think that's
Hmm.
like I had too many favorites this past year. I'm gonna be the cheat. I'm gonna cheat and cheap out here and say that I when I look back at what we did the last year, there are some that I remember that I loved. There are some crazy zany ones like The Lift.
Yeah, yeah,
Which make
that
me
that
chuckle.
one is a little crazy. Yeah.
Yeah, but we saw a lot of good ones. Long Legs, I really enjoyed for that that vibe that it had. A lot of the movies that we saw they had their own ambiance and atmosphere
Hmm.
to them when you go with them. And the best ones are the ones that kind of like leave you like, I don't know how I feel about this. Like
Hmm.
that's when it really it does something. But
Hmm.
I was gonna say I don't have much more to add. Did you have anything that you want to do last minute plugging or have any other links? I didn't see any links that you sent before the show, but if you have any,
No,
before we
yeah,
close the
I
stream,
don't have any
I didn't
things
think so.
specifically, but yeah, like I said, we may in the future talk about the what Nosferatu was influenced by, the original Nosferatu 1922 version. And I never seen the 1979, I don't think you have either,
Uh-uh.
version of it with Isabella Johnny.
Right.
I'm really tempted. I wanted to watch the original one and the 1979 version before I watched the new version, but
Right.
time slips behind you, and so maybe we can maybe watch these two movies when the new movie comes out on videotape or Blu-ray or
I
4K,
I
and
think
maybe
it'll
we to revisit it.
yeah. Well, it'll absolutely be a clarion call to go find those, search them out. But masterfully done. I agree with you. You go see this, make up your own mind. It is worth
Mhm.
the price of admission easily, even if you're not 100%. But then again, if you are not, if you, I don't know, if you're just kind of like lame, I guess, and you just don't like vampires or whatever. I'm just kidding, but I actually made a
Yeah,
vampire
yeah,
joke
yeah,
hilariously the
definitely
other day.
go check it out if you love vampire movies. If you don't, tell us why. What you love. We should be watching. This is the Nerdom. We love to hear what the audience have to say. So if you want to tell us something that you are passionate about, we're definitely willing to listen. And but yeah, we encourage you to have the same passion with us.
Absolutely.
And when we have the passion for certain things, maybe listen to us a little bit and maybe check out some of the stuff we encourage you to see.
Yeah, and as
And
always,
we'll listen and have that same passion for the things that you have passions for.
absolutely. As always, if you have questions, you want to have a conversation, we're available on Twitter, Reddit, and of course YouTube. And with that, I've been Mike.
And I'm Tom. And you've been watching the first, the last, the Nerdom.